Welcome to the Makai Sentai podcast. I'm your host, Dani, also known as Slightly Live. This is episode 2, Learning Lessons, Dude. Okay, guys, we speak to our two guests for this week. We have Hayzink.
Hello.
And we have Nyx.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Alright, guys, Hayzink, can you tell me who you are and what you do, please?
I'm an old dude from Glasgow who makes content for Disgaea RPG on YouTube.
And Nyx, what about yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a crazy Florida man who also makes content for Disgaea.
So, guys, I wanted to ask you first and foremost before we move on to our topics, why Disgaea RPG? Like, why this game instead of the million others out there?
I used to make content for Dokkan because I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, but one of my favourite console games is Disgaea. It has been for a real long time. I basically got into Disgaea a little bit later than most people because I picked up the first Disgaea game on PSP rather than the PS2 version, which in all honesty was a good choice because the PSP version was infinitely better than the PS2 version. And when I knew it was getting a gacha title, I really wanted to play it. And the fact that I wanted to play it and I was still a content creator, I thought, me enjoying this franchise, it's something new and I want to share my like for the game with other people. So that's why I make content for Disgaea RPG.
Awesome stuff. And what about yourself, Nyx?
For me, it was that I used to play a game called Digimon, and I did it for a couple of years. And after a while, I wanted to branch out and do something different. In the meantime, though, I had wound up downloading the phone game when I saw Disgaea RPG, and I remembered playing Disgaea as growing up. So it kind of, as soon as I started playing, I fell back in love with the franchise, and it just reminded me of everything that I loved about Disgaea. And I literally could not put down the phone game. So after playing it for, a couple months, I was like, you know what, I gotta make some content on it. And I decided, let me share my love for the game with everybody else. And also, Bull Trend as a company, I think they've been doing a really good job with listening to the community, which was something that I haven't seen from a lot of companies before.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think Bolt Rand does something different than other companies there?
I do, because I feel like at least they're somewhat looking and listening to what their community has to say and think, as opposed to where a lot of companies will kind of just go forward with it and just keep going on their path for a while until it leads to destruction and then do something.
Interesting take on the situation. Okay. Alrighty, guys. I wanted to move on to our first wee topic here. I've nicknamed it cheekily AP Gate. I assume both of you are familiar with the AP Gate and event problem situation that sprung up recently and didn't at all cause any controversial waves whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, and I think most people that watch my content know this by now. I chew the ear off a challenge. If I have something that I don't like, I'll tell them. And I said that it was a big issue. I don't necessarily think the changing of the characters' bonus points was the issue. I think it was simply the fact that we didn't have the AP pots to compensate that. And personally, this is going to be controversial. People won't like me saying this. I think they've made the wrong move because I generally don't think they're going to keep this bonus forever, right? They've put the bonus to 30% and 50% for new units. There's no way that's going to last forever. So to me, what they've done is they've put a plaster or a band-aid for our American audience. They've basically just put a temporary fix on it. They're going to at some point revert to normal. And when they revert to normal, they're going to have to deal with the fallout from it again. Everyone should now know by now that they never intended this to be the case. This was supposed to be fixed after Noel's event, and they didn't do it. And by leaving it running for so long, it became an expectation for people that it was a change to structure rather than a bug that they just kind of went with. And I feel that what they should have done was just left the bonus the way it's supposed to be, like JP, but added the 5 pots per day into the shop. Yes, you would have had to have done more grinding, but you wouldn't have been spending your own AP to do that, and it would have lined us up with the way the game is structured in Japan.
Describe it as a band-aid situation. Why can't it be in itself a permanent solution? Why can't they just say, keep the rates up at 30% across the board with 50% for the bot units? That seems to make people happy now. Or have they just made that the new standard going forward?
I wouldn't be against it happening, I just don't think it's going to happen, and I'll tell you why. The reason being, I've never concrete been told this, but I believe anything that Bulk Trend does to this game fundamentally different. They need to get approval from ForwardWorks. They can't just change massive aspects of this game, because it's not their game. They're a publisher for this game. Do you know what I mean? They're not the developer of this game. And I know other gacha IPs that when it comes to global, they have to still communicate with the original developer. And honestly, I don't think ForwardWorks are just going to allow them to constantly make that change be permanent, because in essence it's going to make the game better to play on global. Now yes, Japan does have the fact that they are way ahead of us on quality of life and they're way ahead of us on content. But if global is an easier game to play, you're going to have a degree of people that are just like, maybe I'll just switch over to global. If you're getting things like slightly higher rates on badass banners, which obviously we got this last badass banner, whether that's going to be permanent or not, I do not know. But if they keep making these little changes, I can just see there being a slight player bleed. And I just don't think they're going to want one version of the game being fundamentally better than the other version of the game. The whole point is to line them up and make them the same. So I just personally don't think this is going to be a permanent fix. I think it's going to be something that we'll get for another few events, and eventually they're going to drop down, because you need to remember there's going to come a point, and we might touch on this later, so I don't want to go too deep onto this, when we get quality of life updates and stuff like that, things like your nether enhancement level is going to increase the amount of bonus a character gets. So if they leave things the way that they are right now, we could end up getting to the point where you can run a team that gives you a 400% bonus or more if they leave this current situation where they're given a flat boost of 30% to every character. So I just don't think it's going to be a permanent change.
Nyx, what do you think about the long-term implications? Because Hayzink's pretty solid on this not being long-term. Do you think this band-aid will stick around for more than a few weeks or a few months?
I think we might have it for maybe a couple months, but I don't think it's going to stick around either. I'm kind of with Hayzink on this, because I feel like it's more like a band-aid, like you said, to kind of give us time, or give them time to release more units as well. Because right now, there's a smaller pool of units, so there's not as many options to go with for bonus points. And like even on the last banner, there was only 2 units, and then you could get 50%. But then they also removed, which I'm not sure if they're going to keep it this way, where we couldn't use dupes, and now they're letting us use dupes again. So I don't know if they're going to keep that part in either. But I just can't see all of the changes being permanent.
They're not letting us use dupes, by the way.
They're not letting us use dupes?
No, dupes still don't count.
Oh, okay.
I always kept my units separate until the dupes had no value, then it was just eat them.
Yeah.
Curious to know, do you fodder your units to grow other characters, or do you feed them in for any level?
I personally keep all my units, and then every copy of every duplicate that I get long term.
Yeah, no, I just meant, I know a lot of people use these free-to-play characters as fodder to raise the star level of other characters.
That is dangerous and silly. Dangerous and silly. Why do that to a unique rare character that you cannot easily replicate?
I agree.
No, the way I see it, it's like even those low-level characters and like alt color monsters, 2-star that you don't give a shit about, like keep them around, because if you can any 10 one of them, that means every further copy you get will actually be something you want. You'll actually open a pack of disappointment and actually not be disappointment. You know what I mean? So that's my own personal justification for keeping all my units around at the moment, just hoping to NE as much as possible across the board.
That's fair.
It's like playing Pokemon, gotta catch them all.
Yes. And you never know as well, because whenever you have an NE10 like red mage or something, like that actually isn't that bad to have around. You know what I mean? If you need to fill a gap in an end team or something.
Yeah, for sure. Like all of them play a part in a team. Even gunners or, obviously thieves, they all have a use.
I'm struggling to see the use of the maids. I'm sure there's a team comp that exists with maids, and they're fantastic in it, but I haven't seen it, and I don't believe it exists.
At this current moment, at least.
Alright guys, that brings us into, we're going to catch up to our current whereabouts on Global. So right now we are just finishing off the Reflection Week. We've had part 1 and part 2 of sort of like a mini celebration of the game so far and some bonuses. So I wanted to ask you guys, what's your reflection on Reflection Week, and how the game's gone so far, and how the game has decided to celebrate itself?
Reflections Week was good, but it wasn't content. Reflections Week didn't, apart from doing that one stage each day, Reflections Week was more about free stuff rather than things to do. So depending on how you are as a player, if you are someone who's crazy like me and you have completed the event in the first 3 days, the story event that is, you went into Reflections Week with nothing to do apart from summoning your free unit, getting admittedly what is the best platinum summon banner that we have had to date. I think that's a very underrated banner setup. I think a lot of people made a mistake not summoning on that banner and saving for the banner that just dropped, the nightmare that is New Year's Rosalind.
Oh god,
But
yeah.
I think personally the best thing about Reflections Week was the Almaz and Majorita banner. It really, really was. Unfortunately, that week lacked any real content to speak of, but it was good for what it was. You got lots of free stuff, lots of free quartz, free summons. I done very well off of those free 10 pulls. Unfortunately, most of the starter units are not much use to me anymore, but it's still nice to get free units that you can use for something.
Hi Nix, how did you fare in your 10 pulls during Reflection Week? Did you get many 4 stars out of it?
I got a few. I will say my luck was not too great. I did get another pirate, so that was nice. I really liked Reflections Week as a whole though, because it allowed us to get free stuff like Hayzink said, and I mean, the Almaz and Majorita banner was really good. It had a lot of units in it too, that when you summon, there's a good chance to get a 4-star because there's so many in the pool. So I think that was awesome about it. And I definitely, like he said, I think it was, a little bit underplayed, actually, for how good the banner actually was. But yeah, good. It's a good way to give free stuff to the players. And I think it's great for people who are starting out especially, because when you do those free 10 pulls, there's a good chance you can get somebody like Laharl or Desco, something that'll help you clear all that content to get to the later game.
On the flip side, though, there is one major downside to the Almaz and Majorita banner, and that is shows people why we want pity on banners now. Do you know what I mean? Because you can see how much more value a banner like that has when not only does it not have the standard pool of units, you're guaranteed to get something at a minimum every 3 or every 5 pulls, depending on what banner you go on. Whereas if you compare that to something like New Year's Rosalind, it's not an exaggeration to say there's a lot of people who went 20, 30, 40k quartz, and you can just really walk away with a really bad time from those banners.
Yep, for sure.
But at the same time, that's one of the things I find that's particularly unique to gacha games and the gacha game experience, and how they tie content so directly to the RNG, and how that has a disparate impact on the player base when the rates are up and the rates are low. I feel that the New Year's Rosalind banner was a particularly bad offender. The rates were not good, so it was all of these sort of like toxic elements you see in sort of how people react to it. And I think there was like a very, very white reaction to the influencer community. Like everyone on YouTube seemed to have a reaction of some sort. You know what I mean?
I got her in free summons. I can't say anything, you know what I mean? I was watching everyone quitting and burning their YouTube channels to the ground around about me, and I'm like, oh, okay. People screaming, the rate up is a lie! That whole period in Disgaea RPG was just a bit of a watershed moment, and to be honest, a lot of stigma still is attached to the game because of how it was portrayed. I'm not going to go down a line of like criticising content creators here as much as I would love to. I'm not going to, but I just feel that some people really, YouTube loves negativity. Like YouTube as a platform loves negativity, and if you get really bad luck on a banner, if you bring out a video saying this game sucks, it's going to do well. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, that stigma has stuck with this game. I still see comments on my videos saying things like, oh, this happens, that happens, as though it's a regular occurrence, and I'm like, that was something that happened once. It's like people still talk about the rollback as though Bolt Trend roll back the game every week, and it's like, no, it happened once. It was a 26 minute period of game that we lost, and they gave us 6k quartz for it. But people talk about that as though we had all of our stuff eradicated from the day we started the game, and I'm like, what the hell, man?
Do you ever notice that too, though? Like, everyone always talks about the fact that, the game got rolled back, but nobody ever talks about the 6k quartz that they gave out.
Well, yeah, but again, they don't. That's the point. That's kind of what I was touching on before. I think YouTube is a platform, and a lot of this does stem from YouTube. As a platform, it thrives on negativity, so that people aren't going to focus on that part, you will literally go and read Reddit, and you will see people giving their opinion, and it mirrors exactly what their favourite YouTuber said. So that's part of what I don't like about being a content creator. I've said this to you in private, Nick. I don't like my thoughts influencing other people's thoughts. I'm just a guy that plays a game and shares me enjoying that game. You know, I don't like it when people say, Hayzink, should I be summoning on this banner? My gut reaction is, do what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like,
your
if you
game.
want the person, get it.
I think it's rather interesting because you can sort of understand when the algorithm pushes the video with the outrage, though I'm quitting or this is terrible. That's like that goes top of the search results, but then the resolution to the issue, oh, they fixed it, they did this is how they addressed it. That's boring as shit. That doesn't get pushed to the top, and that video up at the top, that affects public perception because people still think, oh, the game's
100%.
broken. People are quitting. Look, there's rollback shit going on. And when they dig down to the search results, it's like, oh no, wait, no, they fixed it. Oh wait, it's better now. Oh wait, they made up for it. And that's like 3 follow-on steps to the news item that they just don't pick up on. And it shows you how it creates that lag of information, you know what I mean? So people are coming to you and it's like, no, that was resolved last week or that was fixed last month. And they just don't know.
That's the thing too, like, I remember with the Badass banner, when I was summoning for Awakened Rosalind, threw a ton of money in, tried to summon for her, didn't get her. And then we found out that the rates were messed up or listed incorrectly or whatever. I woke up the next morning, or it was like 2 days later maybe, and I had a whole bunch of all of my like nether quartz back in my account again, and it felt like Christmas. So I mean, like, nobody talked about that though. You know,
Well,
like I
the thing is, Nyx, they did, and this is the thing. I was like, I'd literally woke up that morning and Gacha Talks. I was talking to Gacha Talks, and he said, "Oh, have you done your summons yet?" And I says, "I've done some. They didn't go so well, but I'm going to do more." And he says, "Would you want to chat to me while I do mine?" He got his unit, and I went, "Right, I'm going to go and do another lot." Then I got my unit, and we were just chatting about it, and I was getting messages from Challen while I was recording, so people saw my live reaction to the news of what was happening, and I was like, oh, okay. And as soon as I stopped recording, and I've got, like, I'm not the only person that done this, I immediately messaged Challen and I says, look, you need to do this and you need to do that now, because if you start off on your second ever major banner 1 month into the game and you have something like misadvertised rates hanging over your head and you don't refund people, the game's dead in the water. I mean, it literally is. If that's how you're going to treat people when you've got an issue like that, and people were flipping out and they quickly resolved the issue. But the thing I said on Discord immediately was, we are now going to have a whole new group of people that say, that's not fair. These people get to keep all their units. They now have an unfair advantage. What do we get? Bolt Trend literally could not have dealt with that in a way that everyone was going to be happy. And a lot of people were upset. I mean, I don't want to bring another game up, but there's a game just now that involves superheroes that go to a school. You might know the one I'm talking about. They recently had issues on a banner, and they actually have done the thing that I'm shocked, where everyone's getting a refund. If everyone continues to summon while the banner's live, at the end of the banner, you're going to get a refund. So even if you weren't affected by it, during the duration of that banner, you can continue to summon and you will get all of your currency back. It's actually, people don't talk about that either. It's actually a very good fix, and people were suggesting it for the Sky RPG, and I said, there's no way a developer's going to do that. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, a developer is actually doing that on their game. So maybe there is a way they could have dealt with it better, but some people are still quite salty about that, Nyx, that they basically didn't get anything, and loads of people got lots of units for free and they got to keep their currency.
Yeah.
One of the things I actually want to turn that around, because once that happened, there was a certain expectation in the community. And it reared up whenever there was a JPEG error. There was one of the icons in one of the banners that was incorrect, and people were hoping to use that as justification. Because technically, if you want to read, make up your own interpretation of the law, because I'm really surmised no one here knows the exact wording of the actual laws of whatever country we're pretending to know here, that you're not supposed to do that. You know, it's misleading. And they fixed it, they updated it, but people had the expectation there that, no, we deserve refunds, we want something from this. And I'm not sure that's a healthy sort of expectation, waiting for the developer to trip up so that you can cash out. You know what I mean?
It happens unfortunately, it happens in every gacha though. I mean, I will say just now, we may as well just be completely transparent here, we're obviously talking about the Ms. Raspberry banner and the fact that she had the physical monster unit icon attached when she was actually a magical monster. Unfortunately, someone could have seen that and someone could have been influenced to summon for that unit as a result of that, which by definition, whether it's deliberate or not, it was misadvertised. It was. I mean, I've said this publicly. I've been accused of defending Bolt Trend and all the rest of it, but I actually believe I'm quite honest about my feelings about the game and stuff like that, and I do think it was misleading, and I think they probably should have just refunded it. But the fact of the matter is, they left it for over 24 hours, and people started pushing a narrative on Reddit and stuff like that, saying, guys, go in on this banner, we're going to get a refund. People would tag me and says, oh, Hayzink, there's been a mistake, should I summon? And I'm like, well, no, because there's no guarantee you're going to get a refund. The big difference with the Badass banner, some people rolled the dice on that one because they knew there was a mistake and they knew there was a chance they could get a refund. But they were summoning on a banner where they actually wanted the unit. So if they didn't get a refund, well, at least they summoned on a banner they were going to summon on anyway. Whereas I actually know people who spent 20 or 30k on the Ms. Rosalind banner to hope for a refund. And all they could possibly pull from that banner would be 2 units they didn't really care about and maybe possibly get their quartz back. So yes, I do feel in some ways that it has generated an expectation that you might get refunds if they make mistakes. But this expectation exists on Dokkan, Seven Deadly Sins, Grand Cross. It exists on everything. If people see what they think is a mistake on a banner, people go in on that banner hoping for a refund. It seems to just be something that happens with every gacha title.
Yep. I think the lesson from it really is just that, like, if you're gonna summon on a banner, summon because you want the units. Don't expect a refund. You know, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Like, I summoned on Awakened Rosalind, not even expecting a refund. I just wanted Awakened Rosalind and Tyrant Valvatora. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the mentality that everyone should have, is like, summon if you want it. If you don't, then don't do it. It's as simple as that. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Ideally, but we don't live in an ideal world. People will always love to try and get an advantage, you know what I mean? A refund is an advantage. It's free money, essentially, you know what I mean, to some people. So you can see that sort of risk-reward behavior going on the internet whenever no one really has any boundaries in place. It's like everyone's out for themselves and will do that sort of behavior, whether or not, obviously, the devs or the community endorses it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I see both sides of the spectrum, though. I'm not saying, like, they're wrong either, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like a healthier mentality for it would be just kind of to summon if you want something, not summon as if you're going to get something back.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you are putting your money on the line for a not safe bet, you know what I mean? Exactly. So don't be surprised whenever RNG screws you over in real life, just like the game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's like real life, you know? Always expect the worst, because then when something good happens, it's like, oh, dang.
So, speaking of the worst, going off the back of the reflections, part 1 and part 2, we're going into sort of a lull period going forward with the summer stuff kicking off. There's been some complaints around the community, some comments, some folks wishing there was more to do at the moment, particularly because, as Hayzink actually touched upon earlier, the reflections really wasn't an event. There really wasn't much to do. So how do you guys feel about the current pacing of Global so far, and how do you guys think it will shape up or change in future?
Well, I mean, I made a video called Welcome to the Wasteland, so I think it's kind of apparent how I think about it. But unfortunately, I can't really say too much because I've seen the schedule. I know what lies in store for July. I just can't talk about it. But I know that what we see on the roadmap right now, there's not going to be any surprise drops. There's nothing that's coming out that we don't know about. So we already know that at a bare minimum, there's going to be nothing to do until the 5th of July. There's going to be some stuff coming up on the 5th of July. Maybe you'll be happy about it, maybe you won't. But I'm not happy with the current schedule, no. Because we went at this accelerated rate to try and catch up. We done overlapping events to try and catch up. And then they're going to go and take a 3-week break. What that basically means is any time that they accrued by going fast, they've just nullified it. So why did they have to speed through overlapping events, etc., if they knew further down the line they were going to have these dead periods? I just feel that It's like, let's put our foot down on the accelerator, slam the brakes, and just repeat that process. And it makes no sense to me.
With their current schedule, are you saying that you feel as if they've undone the catch-up that they've tried to do at the start?
I do, because I put out a timeline where I expected Asagi would drop in August. At the point I put out that timeline, I was pretty damn certain that Asagi would drop in August. Now, because of the break that we've had and things like that, I don't think Asagi will now come in August.
Oh.
She then can't come in September because September will be our half-year anniversary, and Disgaea does celebrate its half-year anniversary. So September is going to be an anniversary month, and then in October, that's when I think we'll now drop Asagi. And the only other problem with that is I have a funny feeling that something else will drop in October, and I really did not want that something else to be anywhere close to Asagi, because this something else is the other big thing that people are waiting for in Disgaea RPG. If they drop Asagi in the same month as this other big thing, that hopefully you've worked out what I'm talking about, I just think people have no breathing room to have saved up quartz or anything, and I just don't think it will go down well.
That's a good point, because one of the things that we're pressing for the community in this game would be burnout on DLC. Like, it's so different in gacha games compared to any other sort of mainstream games. You don't have that sort of constant DLC pressure, and that's one thing that I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with right now. We haven't got into a good fixed pattern yet, and I'm not sure the developers are happy and confident with the regular pattern. You can see they're attempting it. Having a communicated monthly sort of forecast is awesome. You know what I mean? We don't have to be guessing for the next couple of weeks ahead. That's always awesome, and that's something a lot of other developers can commit to or sort of deliver. So it's actually very awesome that they've been able to keep that going and have it reliable. But longer term out, I'm seeing a lot of really awesome, exciting content happening over in JP at the moment. The thing is that global players aren't immune from JP content and JP quality of life and all the other things that are currently going on the current JP version. And I'm wondering whether or not there's that constant pressure from players, particularly with some exciting content that comes up, exclusive content that will come up. And things like Attack on Titan definitely makes headlines, you know what I mean?
The thing about Disgaea though is most of the quality, as far as I'm aware anyway, most if not all of the quality of life updates were tied to anniversaries. So they brought a lot of quality of life updates on the 6-month anniversary, then they brought more on the 1 year, and then they brought even more on the 1.5 year. So if that is going to be how we work, then I believe in September we should get our first APK update where we get new features added to the game. I don't know what they are though. I just know that it's not going to be some of the ones that people want most. Like, I know one of the most requested ones is people want the ability to auto stop at boss. So when you're doing the item world in Japan, there's an option that you can turn on where every 10 floors it will just stop when you get to the boss, so that you can be more in control of your auto grind towards getting weapons and stuff like that. That didn't come out until the 1.5 year anniversary, so we're a long way from that. But I don't know when things like Adele's training and stuff like that dropped, so it could be something like that. I know a lot of people are waiting on Etna's Resort, but I believe someone said it was due during the summer event, but that's not true. I think it comes out round about the 1 year anniversary, so we've still got a while to wait for stuff like that. The 6-month mark should bring some updates that will bring us some quality of life improvements. I'm just not sure what they are yet.
So speaking about Adele and those sort of shock drops that's been happening on the JP side of things, you guys hear about the Archangel Flan drop and the Adele drop that made waves. Like, those were pretty awesome, but not entirely so.
Kachevsky as well. King Kachevsky, he dropped in the same way as Flan, one of those 3-day beautiful banners, I think they're called. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to translate to global. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know how that's going to translate to global.
So one thing I want to ask about those kind of units, and over here we actually kind of have an idea of the scale of those units that I'm talking about here. I want to talk about a bit more of the gameplay impact of these units in particular. Now, we have 2 units I think right now would demonstrate that sort of level, would be the Tired Roslyn and would be Tired Valvatores, in terms of being particularly strong units compared to, say, the average 4-star? Would you say would that be a fair definition, at least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is to you guys, like, it's obviously disproportionately impactful on the game to have those units there, and we see that we know what's coming down the pipe, like we know what's in store, and those units do represent better value for free to play players. These are a target. So, what are your thoughts on having units that strong in the game, knowing full well what's coming down the pipe, but we don't know what's going to happen a year out from now and how the game's going to change? Would you guys like to see other units sort of get a power boost? These are match the sort of attractiveness of those units, or do you think the
Well,
powerfulness of those units justifies itself because they're supposed to be good, rare, sought after units?
I think the thing that we're veering into talking about now is power creep, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I obviously have a GP account, as you know. Characters like New Year Roslyn and Tyrant Valvatorez would not get on my team. They wouldn't. Characters like Mal, the badass unit that came out, characters like King Kachevsky, stuff like that, just completely wipe the floor with those characters. They're
Yeah.
not even close to being on the same level as them. I think what they could do, and I don't think they will do, but what they could do is games like Dokkan, etc. They have a and Legends does this as well. They have a system in Dokkan called an EZA, and what they do is they take an older unit and you can run an event with them, and you get these medals. And what will happen is basically they will essentially revamp that old character to make that old useless character come more in line with today's meta. So that basically you don't look at your box constantly and think, oh my god, all these units I summoned for X amount of time ago, they're all useless. I need to now get the next thing. They implemented a system about 2-3 years ago where you could still use your old characters because you could improve them in game. Something like that would be good for Disgaea, because as it stands right now, with people like myself and Gacha Talks highlighting to our YouTube audience, oh, look at this new character on JP, oh, look at that new character on JP, there's going to come a point where those people are going to think to themselves, wait, why am I summoning just now if this is going to get so much better in X number of months' time, you know?
Yeah.
So I do think there's an element there of a lot of what we have to summon for now very quickly gets outdated in Disgaea.
I think for me personally, like what I'd like to see more of is where like team comp matters even more. So like even if there's like a weaker unit, you could still build a comp around it that would make it more relevant and kind of bring it up to par with those OP units.
Yeah.
Because right now I feel like, yeah, you have these like badass units that come out and they're like super OP, right? And they don't even really need a team. Like they can solo, like even with Tyrant Valvatorez right now in the current state, you're able to pretty much solo content with him. So I mean that's my issue. Is like I'd like to see more like team building and more thought process required basically for it.
Well, funny you should have brought that up, Nyx, because one of the things that happens on JP a lot, and I don't know if Dani was going to bring this up or not, but JP drops a hell of a lot of banners, like really quickly. If people think if people think global goes fast with banners, JP goes insane. Like there's a new banner every week, and during a hype banner, during a hype celebration, without warning, they randomly drop these beautiful banners that give you like 48 hours to summon on, or you're not going to get the unit for who knows how long. And basically the thing with JP is I believe their player base understands Disgaea better than the global player base does right now. And what I mean by that is, no offence to global players, I feel that global players are still in this mindset where they have serious FOMO. What I mean by FOMO is fear of missing out. And they think, oh, there's a new unit, I need to summon for that unit. Whereas JP players look at their team and they're like, I need a new sword unit. So Disgaea might drop an axe unit. Right, we don't want that one. They might drop a fist unit. We don't want that one. But then the third banner they drop 3 weeks later is a sword unit. That's the one they go in on. So it doesn't matter to the JP player base that Disgaea RPG has put out 4 banners in a month, because only one of those banners are useful to that player. So at that point, that's when that player summons. So I think you need to view it more on the level of What they could do is make one banner a month, put on 4 units, and you want one of those units, but you're going to have a harder time summoning for it. So instead, what they do is they split the units up and they launch shorter banners that maybe one week, one the next week, one the week after. But the character on there is specifically, you're going to know if that
team
character
that they're building.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in
Gotcha.
global just now, I feel that a lot of our player base has the mindset of, oh, new character, need to get it. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty
for sure.
of it.
That's really what it is. Because I think right now too, there's not really like set teams that people have built. It's kind of just like, oh, this unit could work. Oh, this unit could work, because we don't have full teams really yet. I mean, sword users kind of do, and fist, but some, a lot of the other ones like mages are still underpowered. And
we're still getting to the point where we
types.
need more unit diversity, and that's something that gets addressed with time. So we can't really do anything other than wait for more stuff to come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The thing is as well, the team building aspect gets a lot more extreme with some of these units. Like, I think it was last month they dropped Zeno Flawn, which was like a crazy, didn't even look like Flawn. You know the character I'm talking about? She'd all
those dark reds. That was awesome.
Yep. Her skills are, in Japan, there's a system. When you go to the menu, there's a system, and it looks like chess pieces, right? You've got like the knight, you've got the king, and you build these up, and every character's got a different type attached to them. They start bringing out characters where their abilities affect that. So it's like, give other queen users X number of boosts. Do you know what I mean? So
so that means that each unit in the game is given like a chess piece. So each unit will be called a rook, or a bishop, or a knight, or a king, and that basically is like a secondary category. And you're saying that Flan, the Xeno Flan, had an evil day that specifically targeted those new categories.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of them that do that. There's quite a lot of characters that come along that boost units of a specific chess piece rarity. So that's why I'm saying that people need to look at JP in a different light from what they do. What people just see is, oh, it's insane the amount of banners that JP drops, but really, you shouldn't be targeting summoning on every banner. You shouldn't. Obviously, as a content creator, I do summon on every banner, but I mean, I've got units sitting on my bench I'm never going to use, but it's literally because I make content, so that's why I summon. An average player, I would genuinely say, don't summon on every banner.
Are you sure you're not going to be using Miss Raspearl anytime soon? Because that's a hell of a must-use unit.
I hate Raspberry, period. She's like, I just never, even playing Disgaea Free, the character was just, she was so annoying. But there's a lot of banners coming up that I just know I don't want to summon on. Like, I think about 2 banners away. So we should have 2 more story events, and then on the 3rd story event, we should get Jim Fuka and Flag Raspberry. I have no interest in those units at all.
That's the sports day event?
Yeah. I believe that if the timeline goes the way it should, we'll probably get them in August at some point. That should be the way that it goes, which is why I thought we would have got them at the tail end of July, but with the way the timeline's been going, I don't think we'll get them until August now, which is why I don't think we'll get Asagi when I thought we would get her originally. Again, just to note, guys, anyone listening, this is speculation on my part. This isn't me giving out inside information. This is me speculating. Sorry, Nyx, on you go, mate.
Oh, it's all good. I was just going to say, like, for me, like, I'm not going to summon on Easter Mao. I'm skipping.
Oh, Easter Mao? Oh, I'm not interested in Easter Mao whatsoever, unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see it as, like,
It's a really nice unit. It's a really powerful unit, if you happen to have it. I just don't see it being enough to justify going out of my way right now to spend to want it. I can't justify
exactly.
See, we actually do have a New Year Rosalind Mark II about to happen, and that is Dark Artina and Pure Sicily. She'll be out at some point. The problem is, her banner is the same idea as New Year Rosalind. So we could have people are already hyping up Pure Sicily quite a lot, and I don't know. You watch my content, Dani, so I think you probably know. I try and shy away from hyping up units. I don't feel that in Disgaea you can build a team with 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. there's no real game breaking units. Yes, you get some powerful units, but it's not make or break that you get them. So I just don't think that people should have this pressure heaped upon them that they must get pure Sicily. Because that's when you start spending 20, 30, 40,000 quartz on a banner. And if you don't get that unit, I can understand why people rage quit after doing that. And that's why I try and avoid hyping units more than I need to.
So I was going to say, as content creators, guys, do you feel that pressure then to try and treat your community well because you don't want to see them get burned out again? Like you've seen what happens and you've seen the result of it. It's like, do you feel responsible for that, or do you feel a bit proactive in taking a stance?
I'll let you go first, X.
Well, for me, I kind of came in after the whole attired Rosalind thing happened, so I was just kind of like, oh, what's going on here? And I mean, as far as an opinion goes, like if I think like the main thing is just to address, hey, this is my opinion. If I think a unit's cool, like obviously right now I still haven't gotten Tyrant Valvatores, and I love Tyrant Valvatores. So I've been kind of like hyping him up, but I'm letting everyone know as well at the same token that, hey, this is my opinion. You do not need to go crazy on summoning for him. I just really want him, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's my obsession. And so I think that's kind of like the mentality that we have to try to push now is kind of just like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't stress about it, you know? But it is really cool if you want it. If you don't need it, you know?
Well, I was obviously here during the New Year Rosalind thing, and people directly blamed the YouTubers. They directly said it was our fault.
Your fault. Yeah.
I don't even think I hyped her up that much. Okay, I did put on my thumbnail "must summon unit." I suppose that's a little bit there, right? But it was literally a conversation I clipped from a live stream, you know.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I got more hyped for New Year Rosalind than she actually deserves as a character, as a unit. Yes, people hate me saying this, but her biggest asset is helping you go before the fish. That's it. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%. Yeah.
That's what she does, and it's at the point now where that many people wailed out to get her. You don't even need your own one. Just use a friend. Use four Blue Rangers and a good DPS unit, and bang, you can achieve the same result. You know, but I definitely, because of my Discord and being active and talking to people and stuff like that, I don't feel a responsibility to them, but I feel like I just want to, I don't know, talk to them the same way I would talk to someone in the pub. If something's shit, I'm going to tell them it's shit, and don't waste your time on it.
That's a very fair
know if that makes
analogy.
sense.
Yeah. Talk to someone like you're talking to them in the pub. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I feel like the problem was, right, is just that, for instance, like Hayzink, I know you got excited for a tired Rosalind, and I think that's really all it was, is you were just expressing your excitement for the new unit coming out, and you wanted to get her. And I think a lot of people misinterpreted that as kind of like oh, I have to summon for this. But it's not really that. It's just you were hyped about the new unit coming out. And I think that's a lot of the confusion that comes with it. Because for us content creators, it's like, yes, we want to summon so that we can showcase the units. And like we want to be able to do it because that's, first off, content. And second off, it's something new and interesting that we want to be able to show everybody. It's like a new toy, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where the confusion comes into play, or like where things get lost in translation, is that we're just excited because it's like, yes, this is awesome, this is amazing, like this is going to be so fun. But then other people look at it as, oh, I have to get this, otherwise I'm not relevant, and then this game sucks because I didn't get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as content creators, do you guys feel a pressure to deliver content? Like you have to showcase the new shit, so you have to get the new shit, you have to be there, record it, like you have to showcase it, because if you don't, then your audience is gonna go, why not? Do you guys feel that pressure? And if you do, like, how do you respond to that?
A little bit, mainly because if you notice, I don't make what's called wiki content, right? I don't make content where I load up a Wikipedia page and talk about the information on the Wikipedia page. The reason for that is because people directly told me they don't like that content. So I tried to do it differently, where I got a GP account, I got a lot of these units in advance, and when a unit comes out, I go on to my JP account, I try and record their super attacks and stuff like that, just to add a different element to what a lot of other people were doing with their
So a different
with
approach.
their character.
Yeah, a different
Yeah,
approach
basically,
there. Yeah.
because obviously the information on the Wikipedia page is what you're going to deliver to people, because it doesn't magically change. Do you know what I mean? But
You
a
can
lot of
only
people
repackage
have
it up
the
so many ways. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. A lot of people have the mindset of, why would I want to watch someone reading a web page to me when I can go and read that web page myself? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I just try and deliver that information in a different way. But yeah, as a content creator, you kind of feel like you have this obligation to get the unit for your account. At least I do.
I definitely agree with that. I think Hayzink, you're in a much more stressful position for that though. For me, I'm kind of just coming into the community and starting out, so I don't really necessarily feel that pressure yet. But at the same token, also I've been feeling stressed because I'm trying to figure out where, like, what kind of content I want to be doing for the game as far as that goes. Because the thing is, like, I know that Hayzink and Gotcha have been covering all the new units, so to me it's like, yeah, I could do that too. But at the same token, I don't really want to. I want to do something different with the game. So I think, like, with my videos, I've been trying to take more of a comedic approach, or like do different things outside of that, like maybe showcasing units in a different light.
It's a hard game to make content for. I've
It
said
really
this.
is.
I've said this publicly as well. It's a very hard game to make content for. The reason it's a hard game to make content for is a lot of games where you would just want to showcase a build, for example. Guys, look at this build. You can use this unit, that unit, that unit. Because of how they gate resources in this game, because of how resource heavy it is to level a team, you can't just on a whim build a new team and go, guys, look at how this team performs. You could talk about the theory behind the team, but you can't really demonstrate it because it's really hard to actually build up a bulk of units in this game.
And
That is
that's
so true.
yeah. You're talking about player investment and the in-game currencies and how things work mechanically in the game. Like, to get to higher reincarnations, like, you're gated behind literal things called gates that hold
Yeah.
precious resources that you need, and then those gates have keys, and then, oh my god, it feels like you're jumping through like 3 or 4 hoops, honestly, every day just to make a little bit of forward progress. But that's mechanically
Exactly.
how these games work. You stop thinking about it whenever you get into the sort of daily grind of it all, but mechanically, that's exactly how it all works. So that can slow down a lot of people from making much progress initially. But also, what you guys are saying is a really good point. From experimenting with the gameplay, it does limit your options, because to get to those higher skills, to see how this team comp will function, that's going to require 20, 30, 40 hours of solid multi-day grinds, because you can't go as fast as you want. You have to go as fast as the game allows. So that does
And if-
limit that.
Exactly.
And if you try and make an experimental build and you go all the way and you find,
you
oh,
fail.
it doesn't work, it's like, okay, I've just wasted like how much of my resources?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've
Whereas
had that happen so many times now.
Whereas I've obviously mentioned this before, I used to make content for Dokkan. If people go back on my channel, I've got loads of Dokkan content. I could literally go, I'm going to make this crazy team and I'm going to see how it performs. They have training items. I could level that full team from minimum to maximum in like 5 minutes. Just here, bang, 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 bang. That's it, done.
Yep.
Let's go and take it on a run and see how it performs. It was so easy to make content for because you could freely experiment and you were free to try new things. I just don't feel you've got that scope with Disgaea, which I love the game, don't get me wrong. It's really tough to make content for. I've tried to do some experimental things like comedy videos and stuff like that as well, but people only seem to want me to talk about facts. I'm like, geez, I want to have some fun.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it really hard, is because they always want like these new guides or new tutorials or something, but there's really not much to say. Everything's been pretty much said already.
Yep.
Now it's just repainting it, putting it back in a new box, and then resending it out to everybody, kind of like regifting videos in a way.
So are you guys saying that specific to the game, you guys are feeling it hard to create original content that doesn't mirror the sort of flow of updates to the game?
It is straight up. It is.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I've said this many times on the Discord as well. I feel that's the reason why there's not a lot of content creators for Disgaea. It's not because of bad rates and all the rest of it. It's because people, when they choose a game that they want to make content on, you want to make a video per day. As a YouTuber, that's what you want to do. You want to try at least to get at least one new video per day. I'm going to actually say it's impossible to do that for Disgaea. Unless you are willing to basically put out a video saying, okay guys, I'm going to go and beat this level today, and then record that. You can't really do it. The only things you can really make content for in Disgaea is like speculating about future events, telling people how they're going to work, telling people about new character breakdowns, telling people about possible new methods you've found to cheese harder content, stuff like that. But it's got a finite amount of things that you can do. And if you've been following my channel, for example, lately, you'll notice I've had a lot of discussion videos. Luckily, Bolt Trend keep giving me things to discuss, which is handy if they keep doing that. But a lot of what you're going to see from Disgaea content, unfortunately, is going to be theorising, because it's nigh on impossible to constantly put out content for this game. Even when Etna's resource drops, for example, that's like 1 or 2 videos max. And then really, you will have some people who will regurgitate content. I don't want to do that. I don't. If I've covered something before, I don't want to make a video on it again. Not everyone will do that. I already see people who've done it with other games and who done it at the start with Disgaea who will quite happily make more than one video about the exact same topic. But to me personally, I just look at it like, if I was a subscriber to this channel and I saw someone bringing out the same video about the same topic about a week apart, I would just be like, I'm not even going to watch your content anymore. So I don't want to do that, if that makes sense. If I wouldn't watch something, then I don't want to make it.
Yep. I think going into that topic, though, like you did mention how Boltrand has been, kind of helping as far as that goes, like with content.
Yeah,
that is true. Like even for me, they gave us that Dark Assembly bill. And that's literally something free that we can do for the community and help out the community. And it's kind of just a win for everybody type scenario. So I think that portion is cool. They also did the art contest, and they have been very active with the community, which I think is nice.
Oh, Nyx, you took that in the wrong direction, mate. I was talking about all the balls ups they keep having. I was talking about me making videos about the mistakes I've made and stuff.
You tried to take it on the best light possible. You tried. Damn it.
But Dani,
I'm a very optimistic person. What can I say?
Dani, we can tell. That's just...
From your reaction, I thought you picked up on the fact I was talking about the mistakes and stuff, and Nyx is away. Oh yeah, it's positive.
Oops.
So, speaking of the non-mistakes, okay, and non-problems and issues that have popped up, going to what Boltrand can actually do about it. Like, you guys brought up the bills and how successful they've been received by yourselves. Like, what has Boltrand been doing, and do you think it's enough? And what do you hope to see in future from Boltrand's side of things in terms of supporting you guys as content creators?
Obviously, everyone knows by now I done the first Dark Assembly bill. That was something that was kind of mentioned to me as a very bare bones thing, and I had to kind of negotiate with them about what I thought a target I could achieve and stuff like that, and it obviously came out being what it was, and it went really well. We set a target of a week and we done it in 18 hours, so clearly I could have probably tried to push it a little bit higher. They were quite willing to listen to what I wanted to do, because at first what they suggested to me, I was like, no. I was like, no. And I said to them what I thought would work, and it obviously did work. Now, clearly they have to experiment a little bit with that, and I don't know when this recording is going to go out, but I'm going to assume that gachas will probably have ended by the time that this is all done and stuff like that. That one, I think the scope for that one was just a bit off. if you know what I mean. So it
Yeah.
shows that they still need to
Yeah.
fine tune it a little bit. I think one thing that this current bill's taught us is, I think a content creator has to look at what's being offered, and if you genuinely don't think that's going to work, say no. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's required. I think Nyx knows that. I mean, your first one was obviously just a trial run, so you could see what it was like, Nyx. But I know now, if they offered you a larger one, you would look at the details and go, "Can we change that? Can we change that?" You know?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, if they had said anything to me that was like too high of a goal, I would have told them, "Hey, listen, I'm new to this community. I don't know about that, type thing." It just depends on what the bill is, really.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's an interesting way to do things, because they don't really get. Yes, the game gets exposure, but in turn, we get exposure. And if the game does well, as content creators, obviously we do well, because if there's more people playing the game, that's potentially more people watching your content. So it's a circle of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's not really. Bulk Trend don't really get a lot of promotion at the front end of it, if that makes sense. They are doing it more for us. But obviously, if in turn we can push the game out in front of more eyes, that's going to get more people playing the game. So I like it. I like the whole thing. It just seems like a nice, non-aggressive way to do things,
Yeah, from my perspective as just an end user, a viewer looking at it from the outside, I see it being very mutually beneficial. You're getting something out of it, they're getting something out of it, and everyone, even your viewers, in the end, come away happy from the situation. So
Exactly.
where's the downsides, really? You know what I mean? I wouldn't imagine people would be against them continuing to do this, and then hopefully listening
Some
to you
are.
guys whenever you
Some are,
have
Danny.
your feedback. You know what I mean? Whenever you're negotiating your terms, as it were, with them, that they listen to the feedback, and hopefully it informs whatever decisions they make behind the scenes, because it seems to be a win-win, really. Would you guys say it's a win-win
I
so
think
far?
it's an everybody wins situation for sure.
There is an undertone of, it's not a large portion, but there is a portion of the community that don't like them. And it's because they think there's something seedier going on than there is. I don't
Yeah.
really understand where it's come from, but it's Bold Trend are trying to bribe people to like videos and stuff. I've seen the comments. I get them on my
Are
videos and
you
stuff
sure
like that
Bullet
now.
Rent isn't slipping a 50 under your DMs?
Exactly. I mean, people seem to think that I'm paid. I wish. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no, it's not that at all. But if you continue to engage with us, I think we can maybe help, because one thing that I do feel that while they have improved on it, it's still not the best, is communication. So even if sometimes they get one of us to make a video and even put it on their channel going over the month's roadmap or something like that, it might be a bit better than just dropping a roadmap on Discord. There's only a percentage of the player base that's actually on Discord. If they can put their plans out to the wider player base and exploit the other platforms they have, like Facebook, like Reddit, like Twitter, not just rely on Discord exclusively, I think people would engage with that a little bit more, as it shows a kind of wider scope for their communication.
So you think they have an obligation to use that wider net that they have access to?
I think they should, because I don't even necessarily think they use in-game news enough, to be honest. Like, for
Hmm.
example, they've got this Twitter campaign that's going on just now that, I don't think it's going to pass, but what they should have done was put an in-game announcement saying, we have this campaign, give you a link in the in-game news to the Twitter tweet. You click on that, it would take you to the Twitter app, and you could like and you could comment on the thing, and that would be it done. Like, literally,
That sounds far too much like common sense.
I mean, it's not even hard to do it. Like, literally every gacha game I've ever played that is a social media campaign has it in their in-game news.
Yeah, that
You know,
sounds like far too much like common sense. You just click on the thing and it does the thing on Twitter and then you're done. That sounds
Yep.
almost straightforwardly like too much like common sense. So yeah, there's got to be some good reason why it's not set up that way.
Yeah, probably because they didn't think of it.
You've been listening to the Makai Sentai Podcast, Episode 2. Feel free to comment, like, and all that social goodness, and thank you for listening.